Hello everyone. So in the previous video we have talked about induction, and in this video we are going to talk about competence and what that is of developmental biology. So competence has the definition to it. Competence, the ability to respond to specific inductive signal is called competence. So if we already know what is induction, that when a group of cells or a cell um, produces some kind of chemical signals that induces change of developmental fate in another group of cells. Change occurs in these group of cells due to change. So that is induction, right? So when a group of cells induces some change in another group of cells by producing some growth factors or differentiating factors, that is known as induction, right? So now competence is when these group of cell responds to that induction, responds to the inducing signal, that is known as competence. The ability to respond to the inducing signal is competence, right? So for example, if this is a group of cells that produces a growth factor, and this growth factors goes to another group of cells, right? But these growth factor could not induce growth. No growth occurs in these group of cells, so that means these are not competent cells. Right? While if they are competent, for example, if these group of cells produces a growth factor, produces growth factor and goes to these group of cells, which starts growth due to these growth factors, then these group of cells are competent. So that is competence, which is the ability to respond to specific inducive signal is called competence. If a group of cell could understand and respond to inductive signal, that means those group of cells are competent, right? So this experiment of Spearman and Mangold of organizer experiment we have already studied in the previous video, but let's see it again. Now that what we do in this experiment is we take out the dorsal blastopore lip. We know that dorsal blastopore lip is the inducer of development of neural plate, right? Dorsal lip induces the formation of neural plate, right? So dorsal lip induces the formation of neural plate. So what we do, we take out the dorsal blastopore lip from one of the embryo and surgically insert it into another receiver embryo, right? So this receiver embryo will have two blastopore dorsal lip. So that would mean it would induce the formation of two neural plates, right? One dorsal blastopore lip, one induces the growth of one neural plate. So blastopore dorsal lip will induce the growth of two neural plates. Hence, two primary organizer and two head regions would be formed of the same organism, right? Something like this would happen. Induction of double body would occur. So this was the experiment. Now induction, we understood induction is the process that dorsal blastopore lip induces the formation of neural tube. But those cells which forms the neural tube need to be competent. These ectodermal cells needs to be competent to form the neural plate, right? Inducive signals from the dorsal blastopool lip comes, but to the ability to respond to that inducive signal is required for this ectodermal cell so that they could be competent enough to form the neural plate, right? So this is competence, the ability to respond to inducive signal. The ability for those ectodermal cells to form the neural plate is its competence, right? So here is competence can occur through the expression of appropriate receptors for components of signaling pathway. For example, if there is a group of cells, this produces a IF factor, right? Inducive factor. So this inducive factor, for example, chemical molecules are released by these group of cells, and they goes to another group of cells that needs to respond to it. So for it to be competent, it need to have a receptor so that these signaling molecules could go and bind to these receptors and give the signal to these group of cells. So competence can occur through the expression of appropriate receptors. For competence of cell, for its ability to respond to a signal, it needs to have specific kind of receptors upon it, right? The biggest example, the best known example of induction and competence is the process of eye lens development. Thank you for watching this video. Please like and subscribe.